You're listening to the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Now here's your hosts, Kevin, Derek, and Alex.
Oh, and welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. I am Derek, and joined as always by your co-host, Kevin. Kevin, how we doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. Late night on Friday, getting a bit of a late start, but nevertheless, we're here, so we appreciate everybody who's turning in. No, I'm ready to get rocking and rolling. Honestly, like it was a surprising Thursday night game. Kudos to the Houston Texans. That defense had Josh Allen running for his life.
Yes,
so that the first drive of the game with the Bills kind of marching right down and James Cook busting that long one for the touchdown gave off the complete opposite feel of how the rest of that game kind of turned out. Because that happened, you went, "Oh, this is gonna be a long day for Houston." And dude, they just kept chopping wood. Sacking Josh Allen, making his life really difficult. And it was bad. And it really showcased how Buffalo truly does need a number one, right? Like everyone thought they'd be fine without Diggs. No, they're better off without Diggs, right? He worn out his welcome. How much would he pay for Stephon Diggs right now? Even, and I get it was 2 years ago, but when he went to Houston and now with the Patriots, but still, it ain't working. Keon Coleman's been benched the last couple games, told not even to suit up. Khalil Shakir's catching passes, but his ADOT's like 5.2 yards, so he's not going anywhere. And if you can find a way to slow down the run game, you're going to beat Buffalo right now. So They got a lot of work to do here to try and get into the playoff picture.
Right. Well, not only that, right? Like Houston just gave everybody the blueprint on how to handle Josh Allen, right? Like whether or not everybody else has the players to go out and make that happen, the scheme has been shown, right? Like, and not every team has that kind of pass rush that can be put on there. But man, did Houston just get that done? 8 sacks, 12 quarterback hits. Like there's that's how you get at the Bills, right? Is just hit them and don't, once you get them down, don't let them back up.
So I agree. Like it's trying to figure out how many teams can play that same brand. I can tell you our hometown team in the Mile High City took note of that though.
Right.
And VJ, he's going to save that game film and he's going to go back and study that if they happen to cross paths here later this season, because that is a brand of football that the Denver Broncos can't play.
Right. They're one of the few teams out there that have the personnel that could make things happen that way. So
outside of that, I don't know. The Patriots-ish, because the Patriots are pretty good against the run, right? So the Patriots are pretty good against the run. Their division opponents, so that game's maybe it's a little bit of a softball to kind of say the Patriots. Really, I think the Chiefs probably could. It was the Chiefs offensively who they can't run the football, and so that's the problem. Like they didn't even try when they played Buffalo here a couple weeks ago. So I think again, Spagnuolo can get his defense to do that. It's can you get the offense to generate any type of run game, because that's a key component to at least keeping that defense completely at bay. Is you don't have to have great running numbers, but you got to be able to run enough. And that's really what the Texans did, right? They ran the ball enough to not put so much on Dave Mills that the passes honestly just became kind of wide open for him.
Yeah, that is certainly an interesting thing that we watched and saw come to play there. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the league and teams handle that one. So, but yeah, so kind of looking forward, right? We've got the Thursday night game in the book. We've got an interesting slate of games here for the weekend here, kind of heading into it to week 12, right? Folks are kind of coming down into it with the three, for most folks, there's 3 weeks left of the regular season before fantasy playoffs start. So it's kind of one of those that you gotta win and keep winning to, put yourself where you want to be come playoff time, right? Like either make sure that you're getting in, make sure that you've set that, or, so for some of y'all, you've already done that. Now you're jockeying for seeding. Some of y'all, it is a, survive in advance type of ordeal. So happy to help and talk to folks about that and see what we can do on the, on that one. But before we kind of do that, any news notes, anything that you want to hit up here before we start diving into it?
Let's see. Jackson Dart is out. He has not cleared concussion protocol. So Jameis Winston's going to get another crack at the New York Giants offense. Tough week going up against a Detroit team who lost last week. So what it would be 12. I think this would be 12 straight games or 12 straight instances for Detroit where they lost and then came back and won the next week, if that's how it shakes out. But Detroit's, you got to figure that they're probably going to lay the wood there against the Giants. Bucky Irving out. Chris Godwin is active, so we'll see. Maybe Bucky's getting a little closer. So Rashad White maybe a little bit. Tucker definitely. He's kind of taken over the dynamic version of that backfield. Part of it was the game plan last week against Buffalo, I'm sure, but still, he's been running well enough. He's going to continue to see his touches. So we'll see how that looks. Again, in another tough game, the Rams and Bucks is going to be a really fun game to watch this weekend. So there's that one. I don't know of any other major news. I haven't seen a decision on Aaron Rodgers yet. So if I missed it, I apologize. But
questionable I've seen, but I haven't seen like anything definitive.
Yeah, and Tomlin said earlier in the week that he was going to make a decision today, and that just didn't come out. So maybe they're just going to leave it as a game time decision. Maybe Rodgers ends up playing. Who knows? But we'll see. We'll see how all that shakes out here. So pretty par for the course. Tuesday's news pretty much held. At least for now. So we'll get some more of that tomorrow. So obviously stay close to your phone, and then 90 minutes before game time, as always, especially for early slate games, pay attention. That way you can get the right guys in and out of your lineup.
Right. The and from what I could see looking through it, it does look like Rodgers did put in limited practice today. Looks like there was a brace on that, the non-throwing wrist. So we'll see how that comes to play, right? Like, at least a limited practice
until he gets knocked in the dirt, right? Like, it can be good, and he can hand the ball off backhanded and do all that. Like, he's a pro. Mm-hmm. But it'll be interesting to see if he gets, if he's going out to throw and he gets hit, and maybe not even blindside with stuff that's coming at him where he's trying to turn out of it. He's not going to be able to put that left hand down to brace himself. So it'll be interesting to see how Rodgers navigates through that. But that's why we play the games.
Right.
But no, other than that, I don't think I have anything else, Derek. Nothing major, at least that's crossed my mind here this last couple days.
All right. I guess one kind of, bigger development is kind of coming out there, as it does look like Joe Burrow did manage to put in 2 full practices this week, and it does look like that's trending to see Joe Burrow return to action, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little surprised on that one. I guess maybe not. They're only
got a chance. It's a must win. They got a chance.
Right. They're 3 games out of the division. The Steelers still kind of hold that 1 game lead over the Ravens and 3 games over the Bengals. So it'll be interesting to see how that one comes to play. But the Bengals, certainly kind of spinning their wheels. And so I guess we'll see what happens here, right? It'll be interesting to see if they keep going with Joe Burrow. If they kind of get eliminated there and all of that, or if they, let him kind of sit him and say, well, we're packing it up for next season. But so it'll be interesting to see how that one comes to play as well. Any other news, notes, anything you want to hit up here before we start diving into the chat?
No, let's go ahead and get into it.
All right, awesome. Jason over on YouTube saying sorry if some questions are the same as earlier this week. Forgot what you guys said, so If so, thanks in advance. As always, guys. The funny thing is, all the stuff's on YouTube, and yeah, can click that replay button and watch that again. So, future reference. Just yeah. Anyway, moving on. First question. Start one this week. Purdy, Brissett, Trevor, got Bo Nix on bye. Who is better rest of the season, Bo Nix or Purdy or Joe Burrow?
Purdy, Bone. So this week, we're going to start this week.
Right.
Purdy is where I would land this week. At home against Carolina. I think that's a very manageable matchup for Brock Purdy. And he had a pretty good game last week against Arizona as well. So I think you could see Purdy perform really well for you here this week. Rest of season, Nix, Purdy, or Burrow. Man, here's what I'm going to tell you. Is if Joe Burrow's foot is truly healed up enough for him to play, it's Joe Burrow, because they are in must-go mode. And we know that defense isn't very good, so Burrow's just going to be slinging it.
They realistically have to put up about 40 points a game to win.
Yeah, so I would tell you Burrow's number 1, Purdy's number 2, and Bo Nix is 2B. Is kind of how I would look at that. I think Purdy's slightly better because of the schedule than Bo Nix. Again, both Burrow and Purdy have the toe issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to tell you to carry 3 quarterbacks, but man, it almost seems like Murphy's Law. If you keep both quarterbacks with toe issues, you're going to have a problem. And if you cut one of the quarterbacks with a toe issue, the one that you cut's going to stay healthy, and the one that you keep is going to get dinged up, just the way the season's gone. Like,
right.
It is a crazy situation to be in. So we might just kind of have to take it one day at a time here. But for now, Purdy this week against Carolina. Let's see how Burrow looks against the Patriots. It's not the easiest matchup, but let's see how he looks. No Jamar Chase. It's kind of weird to come back into that setting. So Purdy this week, but I will give Burrow the nod for rest of season by a slim margin, but a margin nonetheless.
Yep, cosign. Jason saying start 2 this week. Wan'Dale Robinson, Rachaad White, Sticky Ricky, have Purdy also. Wan'Dale's the smash start for me on this one.
Yeah, they're going to need it, right? You got to figure Wan'Dale's going to get there one way or the other. And it may not come in the first half. It may be a lot of garbage time, check the ball down, trying to get back in a game late type thing. But I think in a PPR format, Wan'Dale Robinson's going to get there. I think earlier, I think it might be Ricky Parasol. And I think on Tuesday, I might have said something slightly different.
I think we both said Rachaad White.
Yeah, the more I'm thinking about that with Sean Tucker and the run that he's getting right now, Rachaad White's just not seeing as valuable of touches. The snap share is ever so slightly in Sean Tucker's favor, but it seems to be more valuable touches along with that snap share. And Rachaad White's doing a little bit more pass pro and not quite catching as many passes as maybe we thought he would have been, sneaking out of the backfield there. So I think I would pivot to go Wan'Dale Robinson and Ricky Parasol here this week.
Yeah, I was very much more so on the Rachaad White side of things earlier in the week as well. I think at this point I'd pivot and go with Ricky Parasol as well, especially if we're thinking Brock Purdy's going to have a decent game here against Carolina, and I think he will. And I think Ricky Parasol is probably the beneficiary of most of those targets. So that would be my thought there, as well as Wan'Dale and Ricky Parasol. Jason saying, since it's handcuff season, which 3 are the best? B-Rob, Tootin, Stevenson, Emmanuel Wilson, Knight/Carter. Also have DJ Moore on my bench. Is he droppable to get 4 of those guys? He is droppable. And as far as which one's the best, it's whichever one of those guys you're actually handcuffing to it, right? If you're just picking up one of those guys to have on your roster in case somebody else's guy goes down, I don't think that they hold any standalone value for you. they only have the value as a handcuff, and the handcuff value is only there if you have Christian McCaffrey for B-Rob, or Travis Etienne for Tootin, or Henderson for Stevenson, or Josh Jacobs for Wilson, right? Like, if you've got any of those guys, there's probably not a high likelihood that you've got all of those guys on your roster. So it's whichever one that you've got as the actual running back there. That's the most valuable handcuff for your roster. And if you don't have one, I'd probably lean Stevenson because he has some standalone value and some potential flex play out of the list that you've provided.
Yeah, I think so. As I'm reading this, you have a choice that you can pick up at least 3 of these guys. So if I'm reading this correctly, I think the 3 guys that I would pick up would probably be Stevenson, Emmanuel Wilson, and Brian Robinson. And that's solely based off of offensive philosophy and how they're playing. Like, I don't think Henderson completely overtook Stevenson. I think once he gets back from injury, you could see a 60-40 type split, but you're still going to see quite a bit of Ramondre. Emmanuel Wilson's valuable. I know it's only a knee contusion for Josh Jacobs, but the way the Packers run their offense, and they're so kind of predicated off of the run to set up the pass in Green Bay, that Emmanuel Wilson actually does have quite decent value as a back end to middle number 2 RB. If Josh Jacobs were to miss time, and Brian Robinson, I think you're looking at a potential top end running back 2 if McCaffrey were to go down. And again, offensive philosophy there in San Francisco. I like Bashal Tootin, but he's dinged up himself. Anytime you're trying to count ETN out this season, he seems to kind of have a pretty productive game. And now I can't remember the guy's name on the. Let's see if I can find it here. Their 3rd running back in Jacksonville. The head coach actually gave some pretty glowing remarks for him also. So you almost wonder, is it going to be more of a true dual threat if ETN actually goes down? So I think that's why I would maybe fade Tootin as opposed to the other 3, just because if the guy in front of them goes through, the real handcuff values and who gets the bulk of the volume.
Is that like
Tootin might see a bit what's that?
Is that like Quint Allen Jr.?
Yes. Yes, it is. Good job. Thank you. So again, Stevenson, Wilson, and B-Rob would be the 3 of that. I would not pick up Knight or Carter. I just don't believe in the Arizona run game. And yes, DJ Moore is droppable, but he's one injury away from being pretty damn relevant, because if Adunze goes down, I think DJ Moore jumps right back up to being the favorite target there in Chicago.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So I think you're right. And again, right, for that, it really just kind of depends too on what your handcuff got. If you just want to pick those guys up and have them in case kind of thing, certainly go for it if you have the bench spots to do it. But let's go ahead and move on to this one. Start one between Lawrence, Shuck, Young, Rogers, Geno, Winston, Cousins, McCarthy, Taylor, Ward, Sanders, Flacco. So start one between any of the streaming type of quarterbacks here. Flacco's an immediate out with the reports Joe Burrow is likely starting that game, and Joe Flacco would not be playing. So that at least narrows the list down there. But is there a quarterback you're feeling froggy about to try and get to 15 points? That's one.
Trevor Lawrence, I think, is the logical choice.
Mm-hmm.
Even with it being at Arizona, it'll be in a dome, or the roof will be open, but you'll have nice weather for the Arizona game. So it's a little bit more atmospherically controlled. Tyler Shook's interesting. He had himself a decent game for the Saints 2 weeks ago. So it is interesting to see if he can build off of that. Same thing with Bryce Young. Had himself a pretty good game 2 weeks ago. What was it, 400 yards? Like he broke Cam Newton's passing record, single game passing record. Now, I don't think Bryce Young is going to be living off of that. So I'm probably going to fade that a little bit. Rodgers, the wrist does kind of worry me because it takes one weird land after he gets hit, and we could see Rodgers go back to the bench. Winston, Winston could get you there in garbage time, but it's just as likely he ends up only getting 12 points because he has 3 interceptions. So I think I would fade that. So I think I'd be leaning Lawrence 1, Shook 2. And I think I'd probably just leave it at that. Like, I don't want Ward. I don't want Tyrod. I don't want the Browns quarterbacks. And Flacco.
McCarthy.
Yeah, McCarthy, no thank you at Green Bay. That does not seem like a successful outing for him. And then, again, Flacco. No, thank you. Now, if Joe Burrow does not go, I think I would take Flacco to get me 15 points.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
If Joe Burrow doesn't go, I do think I could pivot to Flacco, and I think I'd be confident for 15 points. But all things are trending towards Joe Burrow playing, so then I'm going for Trevor Lawrence.
Right. Cosign on that. Jason saying start one this week. Tracy or Rashad White?
This is a really ugly matchup. So Tyrone Tracy is out snapping Devin Singletary. But Devin Singletary is getting anything inside the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
Anything inside the red zone. At least that's how the last couple of weeks have kind of shook out. So I think because of that, Tyrone Tracy's ceiling is extremely capped. And again, going up against a Lions team who, they tend to bounce back well after a loss. They refocus and kind of get after it. So I think this is going to be a much more Detroit dominated game, and it's going to take Tracy out of it pretty quickly. Rashad White, I guess so. I'm leaning Rashad White in hopes that maybe he just has the hot hand for Tampa Bay. I'm not guaranteeing that by any stretch, especially going up against a Rams defense that's clicking here at the moment. They're playing pretty damn well, so I think you need to be mindful of that. But between the two, I'm going to lead Rashad White by a hair because I really don't want any part of the New York Giants running game.
Well, and that Detroit game, that could get out of hand
quickly.
Yeah, fast, in a hurry, right? Like that very well could be that the Tampa Bay jumps up, or not Tampa Bay, that Detroit jumps up 14, 2 possessions right away, and New York has to pretty much just go into huck it all over the yard and try and put it on Jameis to put him back in it and keep it close. So I lean the Rashad White side of things as well, but this one here is both of these guys are huge bust potential this week, right? They both have a very high likelihood of putting up a stinker, in my opinion. So, any other thoughts on this one?
No, you're absolutely right. You could see both teams between the Giants and the Buccaneers on the losing end of a pretty wide margin. I think Tampa Bay will be able to keep it closer for longer.
Right.
Like, I don't think I would be shocked if it was 24-3 Detroit at halftime over the New York Giants. Like, I just wouldn't be surprised to see a 21-point spread at halftime.
Yeah, I can see that. Start 2 this week. Iosivas, DK, Coker, Leggett, Tillman, Judy, John Mechie, Burden. Did I miss any other any other guys there? Just want 10 points each somehow.
I think ESC this, especially with Joe Burrow at quarterback, has some potential. Like if you're the Patriots, you figure you're gonna have Christian Gonzalez on T. Higgins as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And outside of Christian Gonzalez, the passing game is probably the weaker point of the Patriots defense, at least at this moment in time. So Iosivas, I think, does have some sneaky upside to get to 10 points. So I would tell you him first. I think the sneaky one for the other 10 points is Luther Burden.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want either one of the Browns guys. I don't think I want to try and hitch my wagon to either one of those Carolina guys between Leggett and Coker, and Tennessee is, they're just not bad. They're just not good enough. Like when your quarterback's only throwing for 180 yards a game, like it's really hard to get 10 points out of a receiver unless you can guarantee they fall in the end zone. And I am not going to be able to pull out my crystal ball and guarantee that for you this week.
Right. And Io Manor is out for Tennessee. I'm pretty sure Ridley's not playing this one either.
Ridley's on IR. He's done.
Right. And so, like, at that point, do you really think DK can play wide receiver 1 and manage to put up points?
I think Chig's going to see a bunch of that.
Right. And that's the thing. So if Flacco's in at quarterback for the Bengals, I think Iosivas takes a nosedive, and I think we see Noah Fant actually have a pretty decent game in that one there. But I mean, this is a tough one, Jason. I don't know that I feel confident saying that anybody's going to get to 10 points, but I do think Kevin gave you kind of the best analysis on how it can potentially get there on that, and that's kind of the same route I'd roll as well. Nino, over on you in another Sunday. I need 2 flex, big play bonus. Sean Tucker, Tez, Hunt, Algier. Well, Sean Tucker, I think, is a yes on that one, right? If you need big play, that's a big play guy.
Yeah. Again, tough matchup, but I think that's the path.
Tez
so I'd agree with that.
Tez is a big play guy, but with Godwin back, that now relegates Tez into kind of third, fourth string on that one. Hunt, I think, can potentially get some volume with Pacheco being out this week, and Algier, I don't want the second string fiddles on that one. So I'm leaning Sean Tucker and Kareem Hunt. If you really feel strong about going Tez over Hunt, I wouldn't argue, though.
I completely agree with the Sean Tucker. For me, big play bonus. I mean, Hunt and Algier aren't going to get you a big play bonus, but hell, we just saw it last week where Algier fell into the end zone twice. I mean, sometimes you just don't know what Atlanta's thinking.
Right.
Like, it's super interesting. I think I'd lean Hunt because he's going to be involved in the passing game and the running game. And you just hope he's able to kind of break a couple bigger running plays loose. Like, he's not going to scamper for a 40-yard touchdown, but he could punch one in from the 3-yard line and then catch another ball for, a 15-yard screen play that falls into the end zone for a touchdown also.
Right.
So the touchdown upside for Hunt, I think, outweighs the 2 for 36 that you expect Tez to get, and who knows if Algier is going to be utilized this week or if they're just going to put it all back on Bijan.
Yeah,
because I expect New Orleans to win that game, by the way.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, Algier is one of those that if he falls into the end zone, he's a top 30 running back that week. If he doesn't, he's running back 60. Like, you have zero in between on that one there. So,
and I think Atlanta is about broken.
Yeah. yeah, the Kirk Cousin experience is we saw it not work a couple weeks ago, and I don't know that it's going to get any better this week.
Yeah, I agree.
But the Frogs over on YouTube. Good evening. Set this lineup: 1 QB, 2 running back, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex. Dak, Purdy, Kyron, Rico, Hendy, Swift, Lamb, Mbuka, Jamo, Tet, Hunter Henry, Cade Otton. Tight end, I'm going Hunter Henry, Lamb, and Mbuka are in there for me. Kyron and Rico. Not quite sure on the quarterback yet. I'm leaning on the Dak side, but I could be talked into Purdy, and I'd be leaning probably the Swift side on the flex side.
I agree with the Kyron, Rico, Lamb, Buka. I agree with Henry too. So we're good there. So it's really just trying to figure out
flex and QB.
The flex and QB. I think I'd lean Purdy over Dak.
Okay.
I think it's just a bit of a safer path going up against Carolina. You can see Philly's defense has kind of been turning it up a little bit. So you could see Dak struggle a little bit. Maybe he's able to follow into the end zone or get the ball into the end zone. But you already have a piece of Dak by having CD Lamb. So I think you're good not wanting to invest too much in a tough matchup. So pivot, take the easier matchup with Purdy, and you still get all the Lamb upside that Dak would have for him. And then as far as the flex goes, Henderson has more of an upside going up against Cincinnati. Again, a really bad defense. So I think Henderson gives you plenty of upside there. Swift will probably get you a little bit more consistency. So I think at that point, it just kind of depends on what you want out of your flex position. I think I would go Henderson and shoot for that upside just because Cowboys going up against the Eagles is a tougher matchup. The Bucks going up against the the Rams is a tougher matchup. So Kyron going up against Tampa Bay's run defense typically is a tougher matchup. Tampa Bay does a pretty decent job against the run. So you got some tough individual matchups this week is what I'm trying to get at. So I think I would probably go Henderson to counteract some of that with some big playability. Like it's an easier matchup, and his explosiveness the last couple of weeks has shown that he can absolutely bust it. And if he's able to do that once or twice, I think it makes up for some of the more challenging individual matchups you have with your key players this week.
You know what? You talked me into the Purdy side of it, especially because Philadelphia's defensive line will likely have its entire defensive starting line out there this time. Unlike last time, I don't think we're going to see another pregame incident or early type of incident occur there. So I think Dak has a much harder time in this game than he did week 1 there, and I can get down on the Hendy for the upside. And I do like the thought there that Swift probably gives you a little bit more, a little safer floor. Hendy's the bit of the ceiling play there. So I like it, and I can rock and roll with that as well. Jamie chiming in saying, "Sup, bros? Been a minute. My bad. Been doing 6-7 podcasts a week." Jamie, that is a lot of shows, and good luck on you on that one.
There's a lot of time. There's a lot of time.
Right. Nelda saying hello. Hello, Nelda. The Frog saying, oh, this one was earlier and said, not sure why the question posted 3 times. It happens. Yeah. Computers, technology, right? Nino saying also start 1 full point PPR ETN K9 JMO Pierce. K9 is dealing with some injury concerns, and I believe we saw some limited practices coming out of K9 this week. So does give me a little bit of pause there. I would likely lean ETN, especially since it sounds like it's a flex type of play. I would lean the Travis Etienne side myself.
Yeah, I'm going to co-sign. At Arizona, again, the matchup's a little bit friendlier. Alec Pierce offers some upside, but I think that, again, Chiefs are a team in desperation mode. So we'll see how the Colts respond. This is another really big challenge for them. Can you go on the road and beat a very good football team, right? Don't let the Chiefs 5-5 record fool you. These games have been close games. They're not getting blown out by anybody. Just some where they were winning all these one possession games the last couple of years. This year, it's finally caught up to them, and the pendulum swinging back the other way here just a little bit. So I would agree. I'd take ETN this week against Arizona.
Okay, I like it. Nino saying, appreciate it as always, fellas. Good luck this Sunday. Absolutely, you as well. Binking saying, yo, my guys, what's up, good old boys? Then saying, Jamie, haven't been here and haven't seen you in here for a while, and welcome to the GOAT section. Absolutely, welcome on in, guys. If you have any other questions, comments, concerns for some lineups and questions, make sure that you toss those in the chat, and we'll go ahead and hit those up. But while we wait for some of those to come in, is there any games that you are really looking forward to this week?
Indianapolis and Kansas City, I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to Tampa Bay and the LA Rams. I'm looking forward to this Dallas Philly game just because it always seems to provide some type of fireworks, right? So I think those are kind of the three big games that I'm looking at. One could argue Minnesota and Green Bay just because it's a divisional game and those two teams do play each other extremely well. But outside of that, I'm not loving the rest of the slate. Like Cleveland and Las Vegas, someone's got to win that game, you would think. But I'm not super interested in it. Baltimore and the Jets. I think everybody kind of expects Baltimore to be able to handle their business and win there. Pittsburgh, Chicago could be interesting.
Right.
Just because both teams are, in the playoff hunt. Pittsburgh is leading the NFC North. Chicago's pounding on the door here, trying to put some good things together. Their defense has been getting healthier, so I expect Chicago's defense to continue to improve and look a little bit better than maybe statistically they have, to this point. So health is always a good thing, especially you're getting into this time of year. If your team's getting healthier, you like how that looks. So outside of that, I mean, Detroit and the Giants, whatever, Seattle and Tennessee, we expect Seattle to wipe the floor with them there. So I'm just, yeah. So really 3, maybe 4 games that I'm super interested in. Everything else it'll be background noise. I'll keep an eye on it, but it's not going to be a focal point of my weekend.
Fair enough. Yeah, certainly an uninteresting week, right? There are a few games kind of here and there that'll kind of maybe keep an eye on, but not anything that's really feel like it's got to be must watch TV. Sit down and get your popcorn ready type of thing, right? Like kind of some ho hum, and we'll kind of see how things shake out here, and if some teams can kind of get right, and so it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. Binking's chiming in asking Brissett ? Not quite sure what the question mark there is. If you want to expound on that, we can rock and roll into that. Binking is saying Hollywood or Luther Burden.
Go on Luther Burden.
Okay. I
just don't see Hollywood doing a whole bunch anymore. Right. I mean, I think that when the Chiefs get desperate, they lean on their absolute core guys. So Mahomes, obviously, but I think Kareem Hunt is going to be a big focal point. I think you're going to see another healthy dose of Travis Kelce because it's what Mahomes is comfortable with, and I think you're going to try and see a lot of Rashee Rice. So then, outside of that, couple shots to Xavier Worthy, Hollywood, maybe, but he's kind of been an afterthought seemingly since Rashee Rice got healthy. Maybe he's able to come down with one, but it's going to be a little bit harder to predict now that you can have Rice, and then Worthy opposite him to run a lot of those deep routes. So I see an easier path for Burden here this week.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not super excited for either one of those if I have to play them, but I would lean Burden on that one. It is close for me, but I'd still lean the Burden side. So,
I mean, 3 for 55. Who would you rather take your odds on?
Fair point.
Right. I mean, that's kind of where the stat line is.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that thought. It certainly seems as though that was kind of where that would come to play, but you're talking about just kind of an unexciting, third, fourth option in these teams' offenses. So, I guess it's not maybe necessarily super sexy, but regardless how you do it. But I think you're right. I think there's probably a better path for Burden to get to 50 yards than there is for Hollywood Brown. So Binking saying that Hollywood will be the game breaker for KC winning this weekend.
I mean, potentially. I'm definitely not going to say no. There's no chance. If I'm picking a game breaker, I would tell you it's probably Alec Pierce, not Hollywood Brown.
That same matchup, yeah. But it's going to come down to either one of those guys for them to really be fantasy relevant this week. It's going to take one of those guys putting up a 40-yard touchdown, right? Like really breaking a long one and putting one in the end zone. So,
yeah, I don't know. The Colts are not great against the tight end, so I would tell you the Chiefs game breaker is going to be Travis Kelce. Like you'll see him. He quietly had 8 catches against the Broncos, or 9, something like that. So I think you could predict pretty safely another output kind of like that. It's not that Travis Kelce is going to set the world on fire and go for 100+ yards, but if he's coming down for 9 catches for 82 yards, predict a touchdown in there. Why the heck not? 9 for 82 and a touchdown. That is, I think that's pretty productive out of your tight end spot here this week.
right.
And because I have that, I think I'd be running it back with Pierce, then Burden straight up.
Yeah. Yeah. And Kelce last week looked like Travis Kelce circa like 2022, right? Like that was vintage Travis Kelce showing up in that one there, and actually looked like he'd turned the clock back a little bit on that than what we'd seen the last year and a half on that. But yeah,
I think he realizes, right? Like this, there's no more messing around in Kansas City,
right?
And to your point, I think he's going to have to. You're going to have to see Travis Kelce be, 2023, 2022 Travis Kelce, not 24, what we've seen in 25.
Right. And because the Chiefs, the Chiefs have the personnel that they could rattle off 7 wins to finish out the season and finish 12-5, right? Like that's kind of the scary thing about that team and that roster is that they have the pedigree. They've been there, they've done that. There hasn't been a time where they haven't played in the AFC Championship game with Patrick Mahomes being the starting quarterback, right? Like it hasn't happened. So they have the pedigree to do it. They know how to win games. It just has not come to fruition so far this season. But if there's a team out there and they could just rattle off 7 wins in a row, Kansas City's that team, right? And just get the job done. So, I think you're right. I think that this is one of those that they figured out that Travis Kelce is going to have to, be Travis Kelce of yesteryear more so than what we've seen this year. And I think that they're gonna start getting right on that one too. So, Binkin saying that Kelce is fine too in my stack, and asking who do you guys got winning that game, Indy versus Kansas City? I've got Kansas City.
I do too. I'm taking the home team. Desperate home team. The crowd's going to be in it the entire game. They understand the importance. Chiefs Kingdom is a really good fan base.
Right.
And I understand that, they're rivals of the Broncos, and I don't want to necessarily like them, and I don't have to, but I can appreciate what they do. And that fan base is knowledgeable. Annoying lately, but they're knowledgeable nonetheless.
Right.
And so they get the importance. And I think this is that type of game that you just don't see a way Daniel Jones is going to be able to make him win. So Jonathan Taylor is going to have to be monstrous, and Daniel Jones is going to have to be flawless, and maybe not, passer rating perfection, but definitely no turnovers. You can't take bad sacks and get your team out of field goal range. Like, you got to take what you can get and just play really smart football. And if Jones can get out of there without any turnovers, the Colts are going to have a chance in the fourth quarter.
Right.
But if you can force Daniel Jones, if you get a strip sack or if you get an early interception, and that can kind of change that tide, I don't think Daniel Jones is the quarterback that's going to just the type of quarterback who's necessarily going to be able to lead his team back from down 10 in the fourth quarter. That's just not been his skill set that we've seen throughout his career. He managed the game pretty well, and he's a really good front runner because he can make good decisions with the football, but he's not a comeback specialist.
No. And that's the thing too, right? Like, Kansas City has they started off, pretty ho-hum, kind of on all assets and all facets of the game. But this is a deal that they have been kind of steadily improving on the run game side of things. And Spags can certainly dial up the pressures like few people in the business can. So one of those that I think that you'll see Jonathan Taylor come down to earth a little bit here, right? And not be the kind of the Superman performances that we've seen all season long. I think we'll see a little bit more of a ho-hum type of game in his book, which still means he's probably going to get around about 100 yards on the ground and all of that. But I think that he's held in check a little bit, which then makes Daniel Jones have to step up, and you let Spags start dialing up the pressure on Daniel Jones coming in. We haven't really seen the Colts have to deal with that much this whole season, so I think that could certainly change that. And that game being in Kansas City, it's going to be a raucous one there from opening kickoff to the end of it. So. Big King's saying, I think it's going to be a shootout, high-scoring game of the week by far. It's an interesting take.
I could see Tampa Bay and
LA,
the Rams
sneakily
being that. Now, you could very well be right. I think this has the game script to possibly do it, but I think the Colts are going to have a hard time getting, like, to your point, 34-30. I think the Colts are going to have a really hard time getting a 30.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I could see this game being, 28-20, 27-24, something like that. But for the Colts to break 30 against Kansas City on the road, I find unlikely. Not impossible, just unlikely.
Frankly, I think the highest scoring game of the week will likely be the Jaguars and the Cardinals. Like, that's one that one wouldn't surprise me if both of those teams end up with 30 points at the end of this thing.
Well, that and a sneaky one could be Cincinnati, New England.
Yeah. You get into a Joe Burrow, Drake May kind of dueling contest there. That'd
be fun.
Yeah,
that would make that game fun.
Mm-hmm. Because otherwise it's going to be kind of boring, I think. So, but that is one of those that, right, if the Patriots want to win, they're going to have to either find a way to slow down the Bengals from getting 35 plus, or they're going to have to go higher than that. So that one could feel a little bit more like a basketball game where it's just kind of up and down, up and down, up and down, and back and forth. So I like it though. Any other thoughts on that one?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. And then Beacon saying that it feels like both teams are going to let it go to a shootout. The Colts are averaging like 40 points a game. I think it's going to be 33-30 Kansas City.
It's possible. I find it unlikely, but it's possible.
Right. I mean, and a lot of the Colts
40 against the Titans, 40
right.
against the Raiders. They only put up 20 against the Rams.
They only put up 20 against the Steelers.
Like 38 again against the Titans. Took overtime for them to get 31 against the Falcons. I mean, again, I'm not saying you're wrong. And I'm definitely not saying that's not possible. I don't see it happening. I am anticipating full like playoff desperation type Kansas City Chiefs this weekend is what I'm expecting. And I think that's probably leading into so much of my commentary or thought process about this game is you get the team with their back against the wall at home. It's going to be crazy.
Right. No, I would agree with that. So I think that'll be interesting, right? And so no, I like it. Cham over on YouTube saying, do we think Tootin is taking over the backfield in Jacksonville? I do not.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't even think.
Here we go. Sorry, I'm pulling up his game log.
Yeah, I don't even think it's really even close to being that. At this point.
Yeah, the Jags absolutely obliterated the Chiefs last week, or excuse me, the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so he was going to see more run. 15 attempts, 74 yards and a touchdown, still under 5 yards a carry. But the rest of his games have not been, there hasn't been any sign of that.
Right.
58, 16, 25, 54, 62, 46, 48, RB 23, RB 54 against Houston the previous week, and then RB 15 against the Chargers.
Right.
I do not think that that's necessarily where things are trending here. Now, if he's able to keep up that hot run, maybe you see him involved a little bit more, but I don't think he's going to be doing that because here's the comparison for Travis Etienne, right? RB 5, 11, 15, 11, 31, 27, 30, 13, 12, and 6.
Right. And by the way,
he was RB 6 with 49% of the snap share.
Right. And 49% of the snap share, he still saw 19 carries in the game. Right? Like the volume is going to Travis Etienne. It's Travis Etienne first, and then Tootin if there's something else there, right? Like it's not one of these things that Tootin is rapidly eating into this one. To your point, right? Tootin got a lot more work last week because the Jaguars had just jumped up and mud stomped the Chargers already by that point, to the point where it was hey, like let's get our second string guys out there, get that going, because our team has enough injuries already. Travis Etienne's been a little banged up, so hey, the guy's already put up 19 carries. Maybe we rate him back in here a little bit in the fourth quarter.
And it was still only 32% of the snaps.
Right. And Etienne is putting up about a 60%, and so it's Etienne with 60% of the snap share, which at this point is a pretty dominant RB1 in today's NFL. And Tootin's kind of fighting for the for what's left.
Yeah, he's averaging, what is this? If I take all this and average together real quick, it's like 29% compared to the 60. I mean, so you're 2 to 1.
Okay. So I like it.
So that's the long answer. The short answer is no, I don't think that's happening.
Right. Bing King saying, yes, Spag will probably have that defense ready too, I feel. Yeah, I think that they realize that they're going to have to step that defense up there. So I think he'll have some stuff dialed up, and Daniel Jones is going to, anytime he drops back, is going to have somebody in his face. Cham, over on YouTube, should I trade Cook for Achane or Judkins for Genty?
So I definitely would rather have the James Cook side than the Achane side. And the reason for that is Miami's kind of on their last leg. And once teams are fully eliminated from the playoffs, you never quite know what to expect and whether they're going to rest their guys. Obviously, they want them to hit, milestones and certain markers in their contract. We're not close enough to the end of the season, and I haven't looked at that yet. And as good as Achane's been, I don't think Miami has a whole lot of fight left in them personally. We'll see how the next few weeks play out, but I think I'd rather have James Cook. Judkins or Genty, I could flip a coin here. Like, I don't know that I have a dying preference on either one. Obviously, at the beginning of the season, everyone was all about Ashton Genty. Judkins finally got into camp. He had a couple good weeks. Then he's been kind of ho-hum, kind of, dinged up a little bit. So I could take the health of Ashton Genty, but again, both of those teams between the Browns and Raiders aren't going anywhere, and both are trailing in games far more than they're at even, at an even playing field or even winning. So, you could argue Genty just because of lack of depth behind him, right? You don't have a Dylan Sampson or a Jerome Ford behind an Ashton Genty like you do with Judkins. If he, misses a meeting, or if he just decides, they're just going to save him a little bit. So I think I'm talking myself into, I'd take Genty and roll the dice on it, but I'd definitely have James Cook over Devon Achane.
Yeah, I like Achane's schedule far more going down the stretch, right, than what James Cook has got there. I think that there's a far better strength of schedule for Achane rest of fantasy regular season as well as playoff rest of season. But that being said, I still would lean the James Cook side of it, just because, right, Buffalo's going to be fighting and going to be trying to compete for a playoff spot. I don't know that Miami's going to be able to get there, and very well could be that we start seeing guys get shut down on that one. So I'd lean the James Cook side of it. It is pretty close for me on that one, though. Judkins, Genty, I think I'd rather see the Judkins side of it. Just, I think a little bit more production there, but I certainly don't mind the Genty side as well. If you have a feeling and you like that one, I think Kevin gave some good analysis there as well. So I'm coin flipping on that one. I kind of lean the Judkins side, but it is so close that it's negligible at that point. Binking saying that ETN is actually good enough. I would agree. Cham over on YouTube, is Devin Neal worth a stash with Kamara's health and rest of season schedule, or should I stash Brian Robinson instead?
So Devin Neal is worth a stash, right? The biggest fear is what teams do with these veteran players in general. After kind of the script on their season has been written. And there's been a lot of speculation about the Saints kind of sheltering Alvin Kamara once they're officially eliminated due to the contract that they still have with him. Alvin Kamara has made it very clear that he wants to finish his career with the Saints. Like, he's not looking for a trade. He's not trying to find his way out of there. So you could see them trying to help him out a little bit as they get through the season. So Devin Neal, yeah, he's worth a stash. Brian Robinson's always worth a stash. And on the flip side, because the running game in San Francisco. So if you're a Christian McCaffrey owner, I would tell you Brian Robinson's the absolute smash. If you're not a Christian McCaffrey owner and you're fab based, I would tell you go ahead and stash Devin Neal, see how it shakes out here over the next couple of weeks. And then if McCaffrey goes down, then you're just blowing your fab to pick up Brian Robinson.
Yep, I would agree. Binking saying, isn't Tyler Warren hurt? Thought he had a high ankle sprain. Dude healed in a week. No, he's not on the injury report. Last time I saw him on the injury report was like back in week 2 with a toe thing. So yeah, not seeing anything there.
I'd agree. Warren's absolutely tied in one range. Like you could anywhere between 2 and 8 this week.
Yep. Cham, do you think Jaden Reed will become fantasy relevant once he's back? No. The Packers offense is not predicated on one receiver, much less even two receivers. Like it is whoever's got the hot hand that week, and whoever the plays are dialed up for. Not only that, but the fact that the Packers are a far more run heavy offense on that one. So this is one of those that Jaden Reed is going to be a roller coaster that I want no part of being on that ride for my fantasy roster. Any other thoughts on this one?
No, I completely agree. I'm Tucker Kraft, yes. Josh Jacobs, yes. Anybody else?
No.
Jordan Love, maybe, but the wide receivers, no. If I'm in a super deep league, then yeah, I'll take a shot on Christian Watson. Romeo Dobbs, right? If I'm in a super deep league, but if it's a normal, 5-6 person bench, I'm staying away from Green Bay receivers. I'm trying to align my bench depth up with the highest scoring offenses possible.
All righty. I did also just get notification that Travis Etienne is off of the official injury report for Sunday's game as well. So going back to our Travis Etienne conversations and even talking about that he was a little banged up, all that. Apparently he is off of the injury report at this point. So anyway, Binking's saying James Cook is their most owned player across all fantasy formats, especially in best ball. So there you go. Cham Binking is giving your vote of confidence in James Cook. Cham, do you see Burrow playing this year? I think that he plays this week. Is that an upgrade to Chase and Higgins? Yes.
Yes. I think playing this year, absolutely. There's a good chance he's playing on Sunday. Upgrade to Chase and Higgins, absolutely. So
right. Joe Flacco's been
upgrade. I think it holds it. Flacco did a good job.
Yeah, he did.
Right? Like Flacco did a good job of holding down the ship. He did a good job of hyper targeting Jamar Chase until he had to go somewhere else. And we saw T. Higgins come up with a couple solid games with Joe Flacco as well. So a massive upgrade, maybe not. But I think Joe Burrow, his arm's probably a little bit stronger than Flacco's at this moment. And I think you can see, again, another team that if they're trying to get in the playoffs, it is desperation mode because they're 3-7 right now. And the defense isn't doing them any favors. So it's going to be on the right arm of whichever quarterback Cincinnati's putting out there.
Yeah, no kidding. Cham asking, is Mayfield a concerning start this week? Dude has been disappointing lately. That's a tough matchup that they've got.
Yeah, it's a tough matchup, and he has been a bit disappointing, right? I think teams have kind of figured out Mbuka a little bit. He got off to such a tear, and then again, you get film on these guys, and then the defenses are able to react. And I think part of that's what happened. Now, I think Chris Godwin, for what it's worth, can help slightly. Again, it's his veteran presence. It's the fact that Baker Mayfield does look for Chris Godwin, right? Like the unfortunate injury that he had last year, and that's kind of been limping him along this year due to some setbacks, was super crazy and unfortunate, but he was on a tear. I was pounding the table for Chris Godwin last year, and I looked like a genius until he got hurt.
Right.
And then what do you do? Right. Like, yeah, I'm not going to say that cost me a shot at a championship last year, but it definitely hurt my chances last year, because I had him on the home league roster and I was feeling really good about it until he got hurt. And then I was kind of scrambling at the position for the rest of the year. So just kind of one of those things. So yeah, he's got a tough matchup this week. They should be able to, they're starting to get things figured out. If you can get Bucky Irving back, I think that'll be a big help for Baker. And again, last week against Buffalo, you had to run the ball. You had to. Throwing the ball against Buffalo is not how you beat them. It is pounding the rock And where Tampa Bay got out of sorts is they got up by the touchdown. Yes, they went for 2 and missed it, but then it's because their defense couldn't get a stop middle of the fourth quarter, and then they started airing it out instead of kind of running their 4 or 6 minute offense and really just leaning into that run game to put the final score on the board. They tried to do too much too quickly, 3 and out, 5 and out, whatever that drive was, and then went right back to Buffalo. They marched down the field and scored again, and game was over.
Right. And yes, absolutely. Right. And Baker's still a back end QB1 type of QB this week. And while, right, like saying that he's been disappointing, the last 2 weeks he's been QB7 in fantasy, right? Like there's not many better quarterbacks out there the last couple of weeks, right? Like, has it necessarily been these big games? No, not really, but 2 back-to-back solid weeks here. Rams certainly have a good defense there, and we could see some things happen, but this is also very much one of those that we could see. I think we could see a bit of shootout coming through on with the Rams. And this is all right. This is one of those 2 that Baker's not unfamiliar with the Rams organization. So Cham saying start Rice or CD this week and start Mahomes or Lamar. I'm gonna roll with the Lamar side, and I would lean the CD side on that.
I agree with the CD. I think CD Lamb has a lot to prove against this Eagles team. Remember, all the way back to week 1, CD Lamb took that game pretty personal, right? In the fourth quarter, dropped a couple passes that were pretty uncharacteristic of him in late game situations where you expect CD Lamb to come down with the football. And I vividly remember, as I think a lot of people do watching that game, he was on the sideline saying, "Hey, this is on me. This is on me." The last 3 to 5 minutes of that game, because he realized he was not able to do his job in that moment. And I wouldn't be surprised if they feed him pretty early and often to reset the tone. And if you're the Cowboys, you set CD up early because then the focus will shift a little bit, and then you get Pickens late. Like, that's kind of how this offense has worked with both of those receivers on the field at the same time. The exception was the Raiders, because the Raiders just don't play defense. So quarterback wise, Lamar. Yeah, Lamar. It's an easier matchup. Mahomes might actually have a higher upside just because their inability to run the football in Kansas City right now leads more to Patrick Mahomes having to do it with his right arm. And again, desperation mode, that type of thing. But if all things are equal, the Ravens are trying to fight for a division here at the moment, and they know they got a couple more games to make up before they get over the Steelers. I could expect Lamar to have a really good game here himself. So I can lean the Lamar side and be okay with it.
Right. Cham asking flex Judkins, Aaron Jones, or Monty this week. It's Judkins for me.
Yes, I'd agree.
Right.
I agree. It's Judkins.
Right. So is Quentin Johnson a drop in a 10-team league? Absolutely. You can drop him and move on.
Yeah, he kind of ran his course, right?
Mm-hmm.
We saw him get involved early. Lately, it's been this game against the Jaguars is terrible, but lately it's been a bit more Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen, Godson. I think that trend continues if and when we see a Marion Hampton back. Not that Kamani Vidal has been absent in this offense, but I think it gives kind of another piece to focus about it. So I would tell you, Quentin Johnston, unless you are absolutely desperate for a flyer in a flex spot where you just need a massively long touchdown to try and get those bonus yards and back in it, I would tell you he's droppable. But what are you picking up? And that's the second part. Who are you picking up instead of Quentin Johnston?
Right. So that does have a whole lot to do with it. But yeah, I would agree that he is droppable in a 10-team league. Most of the time, yeah, at this point, you probably have some other options on the waiver wire that are just as good as or better than. So, Binkings saying, man, I've got Godwin on my highest best ball team with Dak, Gibbs, Cook, Hampton, Raishi Rice, J-Mo, Ibuka, and Ferguson. It's a nice roster.
Yes, it is. It's a great roster.
Cham asking, do we trust Mooney this week in the Falcons rest of season defense and offense? Rest of season, not really.
No, I don't trust him this week, but he's the most likely person to have the best game for Atlanta.
Not named Bijan.
Yes, sorry, wide receiver.
Yeah. So yeah, and I think Atlanta is not that far off from just deciding that they're cooked. Like that's one of those that I could see this team kind of imploding down the stretch here, which we kind of saw that happen last year as well, right? Like I don't know that 3-7, you're already 2 games behind the Panthers and 3 games behind the Bucks. Like you're not fighting for much there. So, and your starting quarterback out rest of the season. Your star wide receiver is out this game. Yeah, maybe we'll see him back next week. Maybe not. You got your $40 million a year backup in there. Like, I don't know. I think this team is not going to do much the rest of the season. I guess any other thoughts on this one?
All
right. CD Binking saying CD Lamb is either wide open or not. I don't know. Just doesn't look the same to me.
Part of it's the offense and how, again, new offensive coordinator, a little bit of a new philosophy. It's not the same Mike McCarthy offense. I think part of it is Dak doesn't have to force it to CD Lamb this season. Right? The high ankle sprain, maybe he's still a little nicked up from that. So maybe he's still half a step slower. I'll give that to you. But they're not having to devise a game plan specifically for CD Lamb offensively. You are able to run paired wide receiver routes and combination routes between Dak and Pickens. And rightfully so, the defense needs to cover CD Lamb first. Like, he needs to be priority number 1. But George Pickens is a really, really good 1B. We are seeing it this season. Like, George Pickens is a really good receiver. He's just a head case. Like, right now, he's performing well enough and his individual accolades are good enough that you haven't seen a big, blow up from George Pickens. If teams really wanted to lock down Pickens and kind of mind F him a little bit, you could, but CD Lamb has just kind of has a different gear, right? His route running is more refined. He just hasn't had to have the ball forced at him like in years past. He's still the same guy. He is an amazing receiver. He is right there with Chase and Jefferson. He just plays on the Cowboys. Like, people love to hate him.
Right.
Or hate the Cowboys in general. Maybe not CD Lamb, but they love to hate the Cowboys. So, yeah, they suck, and we just kind of brush it off.
There we go. Jerry over on YouTube asking Dak or Daniel Jones this week.
Taking Dak this week. I don't want Daniel Jones in Arrowhead with a desperate Kansas City Chiefs team. And I apologize for sounding like a broken record, but that is where I keep going back to. I will take Dak and live with him at home. It may not be great, but I feel like Dak gives me more of an upside than Daniel Jones in hostile territory against a desperate Super Bowl contending team, or at least in thought Super Bowl contending team.
Right. And the matchups aren't good for either one, right? Like Dak and the Eagles, Daniel Jones and the Chiefs. But I lean the Dak Prescott side of things because, again, Dallas is going to have to really move the ball in order to try and stay in that game and win it, right? In a divisional game, they that's one of those that they want to that rivalry is real and they want to win that game. So I I do think that it's Dak here. Daniel Jones, not going to surprise me if the Chiefs manage to turn him over 2 or 3 times this week. Like I think we'll see, right? As good as he's played all year, I think this is a game that we see some regression out of him.
Yeah, you could see both teams lose like 26-21.
Right.
I don't expect Javonte Williams to get 2 one-yard touchdowns like he did in week 1 for the Cowboys. I expect Dak to have to be able to throw for that a little bit more. On the flip side, if the Colts are inside the 5, Jonathan Taylor's getting at least 2, if not all 3 cracks at that.
Right. So, yeah.
Just how I see it.
I like it. Ben King saying trust and money don't belong in the same sentence.
I agree.
6 fantasy points is a ceiling, LOL, and PPR.
No, it's higher than that.
Yeah.
Mooney's career with Kirk Cousins at quarterback, he's averaging like 15.3 fantasy points a game.
Yeah, it's up there.
Like, now, is he going to get to that? I don't know that he's going to get to that. But
especially when he has to be
his ceiling is more than 6.
Yeah. And this is one of those two that, typically with Kirk Cousins around and all of that too, like he never had to deal with wide receiver 1, right? He got to play the wide receiver 2 and get the off coverage on that. But there were several times last year that with Cousins under center, he put up 20, 14, 15 points. Like, yeah, certainly can get the job done. Binkin saying that looks like Lamb is a half step slower. So maybe still could be dealing with some of that ankle stuff coming back.
Yeah. Which is okay. I'm a George Pickens owner. I do not have very much CeeDee Lamb. I have a ton of George Pickens.
So, Champ saying, what do you guys see happening with the Patriots backfield going forward? Probably about what it was prior to the injury, just flip-flop. Henderson probably getting first crack and Ramondre being the second guy there. But
yeah,
60-40, 55-45 split. Like, I don't know. Any other thoughts on that one?
No, I think I see the same thing. I think Henderson has the slight edge, but Stevenson's absolutely still going to get his opportunities.
Alrighty. Jerry asking Lamar Jackson or Drake May this week. Still think it's Lamar Jackson.
I'm going to go Lamar Jackson by the slimmest of margins. And I mean the slimmest. I could see, again, if we're thinking even the potential of a shootout, Drake May is going to feast.
Yeah. That's a good point.
But Lamar has an uncanny way of, he'll throw 20 passes and have 4 touchdowns.
Right.
Like Lamar just has games like that. It's just how the Baltimore offense runs. So I would lean Lamar by the slimmest of margins. But I would not shame anybody for playing Drake May.
I said Lamar.
The matchup's just really good.
I think I'm starting to talk myself into leaning the Drake May side of things, right? Like this is one of those that's right. Would it surprise you if the Baltimore Jets game ends 24-7, 24-10 Baltimore?
No.
And at which point, if that's the case, right, and they jump out, they're in the lead the whole time, like I think we see a very low output from Lamar. Whereas, you know what, I think you're right. I think that New England and Cincinnati game, that one I think is going to get into a bit of a shootout, and I think we're going to see both teams go over 30. So I'm going to switch up and say Drake May this week. So there you go, Jerry. Split decision. Tucker saying, "Yo, boys, just got sharp news." Binkin saying, "Sup, Tuck." No way that dude has a nice house as the green screen. So, Binkin saying, "Okay, if nobody's going to play Daniel Jones, I'm going to be heavy on him over the field. We'll see his grit side."
Not fair enough. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, contrarian play. Yeah, that has some appeal in DFS for sure. Tucker thinking that Mooney's 8 points max. We'll see. Cham asking, who do you prefer as the QB for the Browns? The one they draft next year.
Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't. I have zero faith in any of these guys.
Yeah, that was
so.
That was kind of my off-cuff remark on the one they draft next year.
I prefer Dylan Gabriel because I can't stand Shedeur Sanders.
I also lean the Dylan Gabriel side of things. I think he actually processes pretty well and does some decent things at this, but that offense is just bad overall, right? Like there's not really pieces around that, right? Like we saw Joe Flacco struggle in the offense, right? When he was there, goes to Cincinnati, lighting the world on fire from a productivity standpoint, right? Like that offense just isn't good. And I think that there's a lot of schematic things, a lot of personnel things that just don't work in Cleveland. But hey, that's why they are consistently a top draft pick team every year, right? Like there's a reason that they are kind of perpetually out of the playoff picture and perpetually drafting inside the top 10 year in, year out. So apparently there's a lot of comments going on about yawning in the chat. So good on the chat there.
Is that you this time? I don't feel like I have been.
I don't know. I know I've done a couple. It very well could be me. The Cham saying, do you anticipate Geno getting benched in the short term?
I can see, right? He's been very underwhelming.
Right.
And very underwhelming. I mean, if I'm Geno, what do you do, right? You try and feed Brock Bowers as much as possible. You take a couple deep shots to Trey Tucker, and then you feed Ashton Genty. But, Geno's been bad, but the play calling and the creativeness has been terrible coming out of Las Vegas. So I would tell you, Geno's the trigger man, but what he's been given is the equivalent of, douchebag or turd sandwich. Like,
yeah,
the old South Park episode, right? Like, what would you rather have?
Right. Yeah, that offense is definitely French frying when it should be pizzaing. There's another reference for you from like they're having a bad time. Yeah, I don't know that if you're gonna bench him, what are you doing instead, right? Like if you bench him, you're signaling to everybody he's not your guy moving forward, and you're going through, right? I don't think that he's their guy really moving forward, but I think he was a bridge guy to try and get to whoever they want to get to here in the next year or so. But Aiden O'Connell, they know is not their guy. So I don't know that Aiden O'Connell gives you anything different. Jerry, need one Mooney, Alec Pierce, Christian Watson, Io Cevis. Wolf is right.
So Mooney's the clear number one against a pretty lackluster New Orleans defense. So there's some upside there. Alec Pierce, I think, is the absolute no out of this list for me. Cevis or Watson.
I put Watson and Pierce kind of on the same level myself. Just like they've got to have a long touchdown pass for them to be fantasy relevant this week for me.
Yeah, I think if you believe that the Cincinnati New England game is going to be a high scoring affair, then it's Cevis. Like just you're banking on 60 yards and a touchdown.
Right.
I think Mooney and Cevis are the only two that could probably legitimately get you there. Pierce and Watson, I don't see that happening personally.
Right. And I'd rather have the Mooney side than Cevis personally. So But I think you're right. I think it does come down to Mooney or Evosivas. I'd lean the Mooney side. Any other thoughts on this one? All right. Cham, full bench. I anticipate winning this week. Should I pick up the Tampa Bay defense ahead of their upcoming matchups and take a hit this week? Can't afford to stash a second defense.
Who's your current defense?
Right.
I guess that's my question. Like, who do you have currently? Like, what are we comparing Tampa Bay to?
Right. So let us know and we'll come back to that one. Binkin saying that they've got to go. Good luck to everybody and crush it. Jerry saying Tootin or Bam Knight this week. I lean the Bam Knight side myself.
Go sign for this week.
Yep. Especially with ETN coming off of the injury report. Bam Knight also just had some news come out as well that he is off the injury report as well. So short of Trey Benson managed to get off the injury report as well and starting that game, I think Bam Knight's your guy. Cham saying his current defense is Atlanta.
I don't think so. I got New Orleans this week and then the Jets.
Yeah.
Like the Seattle matchup in week 14 isn't great, so I understand that. And then Atlanta and Tampa Bay play each other in 15. So
right.
Short term, you could do that. Tampa Bay, what are we looking at here?
They got Arizona, New Orleans, Atlanta, Carolina, Miami. Like,
screw it. Yeah. That's probably a little juicier than just a couple matchups. Yeah, I think you gamble it this week with Tampa Bay. Hope that they're able to, maybe return a punt, get a interception or a fumble recovery, and then you feel like you're sitting pretty good for the playoffs running Tampa Bay with that schedule that they got. So I understand that. Yeah, go ahead. Flip it to Tampa.
All right. Jerry asking Bam Knight or Kareem Hunt.
Oh, my goodness. I'm going to tell you Kareem Hunt.
By the slimmest of margins.
Yeah, like I don't feel super confident in that pick, but I'm going to tell you that if that decision were mine, I would begrudgingly put Kareem Hunt in and just cross my fingers and hope for the best.
Yeah, I would as well. I mean, both guys I think have a high bust type of potential this week, but Kareem Hunt should have kind of the lone show there, right? Like Brashad Smith might get a little bit of run here and there, but Pacheco has been ruled out already. So I'd lean the Kareem Hunt side, but again, don't feel confident on it either. Herb over on YouTube asking, in your opinion, is Laporta droppable now?
Yes, Dan Campbell came out today, said that Laporta had back surgery and he will miss the remainder of the 2025 season.
Yep. So
yep. As long as he's not in a dynasty league of yours or
right,
potential get him some crazy value in a keeper league, maybe, but I'd tell you in 99% of formats and in leagues, yes, Sam Laporta is droppable.
Yep, I agree. Jerry giving us some laughing face there. So glad we could crack you up there. Alrighty, guys, that's gonna take us down here to the end of it. Any final thoughts out there for the viewers and listeners?
No, thanks for everyone riding with us kind of on a late night, but definitely good to see some new names and different types of questions running through here. So hopefully we're able to help out. So obviously we got a day and a half before kickoff starts. So if y'all have any questions, hit us up at Good Old Boys FF, wherever you guys consume your social media content. Derek and I will do our best to get back to you just as soon as we can. But other than that, good luck. I hope everybody wins their fantasy football matchups this week, as long as you're not playing against me.
There we go. Absolutely. And Herb did say much appreciated. Jerry chiming in saying thank you for your suggestion. Absolutely. Again, appreciate everybody tuning in, chiming in. We'll be back again Tuesday, 11 p.m. Eastern for the Tuesday show. And look forward to seeing everybody there as well. If you can do us a big favor, hit that like, hit that subscribe, follow, whatever, wherever you're consuming this content at. Do us a favor and hit that follow, that like button. But that's going to do it for us tonight. He's Kevin. I am Derek. Have a good one. Be safe. Toodaloos.